I'm sure you all heard of Bishop Sycamore, that fake high school that made it to ESPN. What if I told you there's an NFL football player whose father created his own high school to help his son make it to the league? Here's my new series. This is the way they made it. David Sills V. Do you remember way back in 2010 when Lane Kiffin offered a 13-year-old a scholarship to play quarterback? At USC, nonetheless? That quarterback was David Sills V, wide receiver for the New York Giants. David was born on May 29, 1996, in Wilmington, Delaware, to his parents David Sills IV and Denise Sills. His dad played college ball at the Virginia Military Institute as a defensive back, but never reached the NFL. David Sills V started playing quarterback at the age of 6. This is when he started training with legendary quarterback coach Steve Clarkson. Clarkson helped train quarterbacks like Tim Tebow, goated, Ben Roethlisberger, goated, and Matt Leinart, and many more. When David turned 13, he grew to 6 foot and also received a verbal offer from then USC head coach Lane Kiffin. He decided to take it, but the key word here is verbal. Lane Kiffin and David's dad were cool before the recruitment of his son, and I can't prove that their prior relationship didn't have an effect on David Sills' recruitment to USC. But with this being said, David Sills was still cold. That was a bad man. But before he made it to high school, Lane Kiffin was fired from USC. And new coach Clay Helton, he wasn't playing that. He needed that scholarship back. And in 2010, David Sills was in 8th grade, but started quarterback for varsity at Red Line Christian Academy. In his first year as a starter, he played only 8 games, but threw for 1,355 yards, 9 touchdowns, 108 completions, and 194 attempts. What were you doing in 8th grade? You know you was playing JV ball. His freshman year, he threw for 2,340 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions on 165 completions with 250 attempts. He also had 2 on the ground. With David doing this thing as a freshman, his high school, Red Line Christian Academy, shut down their football program to save money. David was coming off of a great freshman year, but now doesn't even have a team. So in 2012, he had to transfer to Eastern Academy in Elton, Maryland. Eastern Academy had no previous history because this academy was started by his dad, David Sills IV. And after he got done playing college ball at Virginia Military Institute, he became a commercial developer, getting paid. And this job allowed him to create Eastern Academy with some loans as well as local boosters. Many was against him, but they were also against LeVar Ball when he started the JBA. And you see where his sons are at. But Eastern Academy did seem a little shady. They had 54 students in grades 6 through 12, but 46 of them were on the football team. The students would take their classes online, but many questioned the legitimacy of this institution. They didn't know if this was a real academy or just a place to house high school football players. Many people condemned David Sills IV, just like they did LeVar Ball. But what they did for their kids, in my opinion, should be held in high regard, because every child could benefit from fathers like this. But back to David Sills V. In his sophomore year, at his new school, or should I say his dad's new school, he threw for 719 yards, 9 TDs, and only 1 pick, with 43 completions off of 61 attempts. He also ran for 2 touchdowns. This is all only coming in 2 games. And the reason for this is because Eastern Academy failed to gain accreditation from the state, so they were only allowed to play 3 games in his sophomore season. In 2013, David's junior year, he threw for 783 yards, 9 touchdowns, with only 1 pick, going 59 for 80 in only 3 games. This time it wasn't from an accreditation issue, but a broken knuckle that affected him the rest of his career, while also stopping him from playing his senior season. I also feel like it's important to add that they didn't play just 3 cupcakes. They played against St. Peter's Prep, Canada Prep, and IMG Academy. And you know who IMG Academy is. But even though Eastern Academy closed down prior to the 2016 season, the high school wasn't a complete failure, because our boy David Sills V committed to West Virginia University as an early enrollee in the 2015 recruiting class. Also, his high school teammate Wendell Smallwood, you might have heard of him, played for the Philadelphia Eagles, joined him at West Virginia as well. David's first year at West Virginia wasn't a cakewalk. He had a battle against three different quarterbacks: Skylar Howard, William Crest Jr., and Chris Chugunov. Howard eventually won the starting job, but our boy Sills earned playing time as a receiver from impressing the coaches on scout team. He made his college debut against the Baylor Bears, where he finished the game with 2 catches for 64 yards, with his second catch going for a 35-yard touchdown. In the same season, he made a game-winning touchdown grab in the 2016 Cactus Bowl against Arizona State. But with those two highlights, Sills still ended his freshman year with 7 catches for 131 yards and only 2 touchdowns. This ain't what he signed up for. When spring training came around the following season, Sills would split time between quarterback and receiver. But when spring training ended, his coach decided to go with Howard again, and it also didn't help that University of Florida transfer quarterback Will Grier will be eligible to play the next season in 2017. So with his chances of becoming the starting quarterback at West Virginia University fading, and I mean fading fast, he then decided to transfer to El Camino College to play quarterback in LA County, California. With our boy Sills going the JUCO route in California, means there are no athletic scholarships, no room and board. These are new hurdles he had to face. This meant he still needed a place to stay, and luckily his old high school friend Khalil Rogers was an offensive lineman for the USC Trojans, so he had a place to stay while attending El Camino College. He started his first year at El Camino College, where he threw for 1,636 yards, with 15 touchdowns. But even though he put up really good numbers, he still couldn't get a scholarship offer from a top-tier D1 program. But one team could use his services. On December 15, 2016, West Virginia University announced on their Twitter that Sills V will be returning for the 2017 football season. But he would not be returning as a quarterback, but as a wide receiver. In the season opener of his junior year, the Mountaineers played the number 21 Virginia Tech Hokies. Sills still went off with 9 grabs, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns in a close loss. And even though the Mountaineers still lost, Sills showed he could be that guy, and they could depend on him the rest of the season. On September 9th against Eastern Carolina, Sills had 7 catches for a career-high 153 yards, also a career-high in touchdowns with 3. He also put up identical numbers in Week 4 against the Kansas Jayhawks with 130 receiving yards and 2 touchdown grabs. The Mountaineers had a bye week during Week 5, but even then he was tied for the most receiving touchdowns in the nation. His success continued. By Week 11, Sills caught touchdowns 17 and 18 against Kansas State. But in the following week, West Virginia starting quarterback Will Grier went down for the rest of the season. With backup quarterback Chris Chugunov at the helm, Sills would not catch another touchdown pass for the rest of the season. So once his junior year was in the books, Sills still received numerous honors. He was one of the 3 Big 12 receivers named as semifinalists for the Biletnikoff Award. This award goes to the best receiver in college football. Our boy was balling. He also finished the season tying Anthony Miller from Memphis for the most receiving touchdowns in the FBS with 18. He also earned 2017 College Football All-American First Team recognition, as well as several second team honors as well. So after this great season, he made the obvious choice. He went back to college for his senior season. Before the 2018 season, Sills was put on several award watch lists: the Maxwell Award, the Biletnikoff, and the Walter Camp. Our boy was cold. And with his quarterback, Will Grier, returning at 100%, the award consideration seemed to be warranted. And in Sills' first game, he solidified the claims with 7 grabs, 140 yards, with 2 touchdowns in a victory over Tennessee. But then in Week 2 against Youngstown State, yes, Youngstown State, Sills only had 2 catches for 33 yards. But because of Hurricane Florence, Week 3 was canceled. But he bounced back in Week 4 with 10 catches, 73 yards, and 3 touchdowns against Big 12 opponent Kansas State. Sills also had a great performance in Week 8 against Baylor, putting up 139 yards with 2 touchdown grabs. In the following week against Texas, Sills had 6 catches for 97 yards and 2 TDs. He also had a great game in a shootout against the Kyler Murray-led Oklahoma Sooner team, with 8 grabs, 131 yards, and 2 touchdowns, in a 59-56 loss. So with his senior season in the books, You can see that boy was cold. He also led the conference in receiving touchdowns. This earned him first team Big 12, as well as second and third team All American votes. And with college now officially behind him, Sills' eyes can now be on the combine and the draft. At the combine, Sills measured at 6 foot 3 inches, 211 pounds. On the bench press, he threw up 225 pounds 14 times. And his 40-yard dash time was a 4.57. So with even putting up solid numbers in college and the combine, and arguably being one of the most productive receivers in college football for the past 2 seasons, our boy Sills went undrafted. He didn't let this get him down, though. He signed to the Buffalo Bills as an undrafted free agent on April 27, 2019, but was waived August 31st, 2019. And his story could have ended right here. But our boy David Sills didn't give up, because on September 1st, 2019, Sills earned himself another chance at his dream by signing to the New York Giants practice squad. He was then promoted to the active roster on December 17th, 2019, and finished the season with 0 stats and 0 minutes of playing time. On July 28, 2020, Sills was placed on the reserve illness list. We all know what the illness was since it was in the year 2020. But on September 4, 2020, Sills was placed on the injured reserve list after fracturing his foot during training camp. On December 30th, 2020, Sills was placed on the reserve illness list but moved back to the injured reserve list on January 7th, 2021. But the Giants must have really thought your boy Sills was cold, because on the same day he was moved back to the injured reserve list, the New York Giants signed Sills to a contract extension for the practice squad. And after all of the hurdles thrown his way, on January 8, 2022, Sills was promoted to the active roster and also re-signed in March of 2022. And the 2022 and 2023 season is his first year of significant playing time. At the time of this recording, he's had 6 catches for 62 yards in 4 games. And we know this isn't the start he was hoping for. But Sills has had many ups and downs in his football career. He went from the youngest D1 verbal commit to getting that offer rescinded. He then became the starting varsity quarterback in only 8th grade, to then have the high school drop the football program completely. So then his father created an academy just so he could still try to reach his goal to be a quarterback in the NFL. He then receives an offer from West Virginia University where he committed to play quarterback. But after losing the QB battle, he moved to receiver just so he could get playing time. But he still didn't give up on his dream to play quarterback in the NFL. So he went to California to take the JUCO route without a scholarship. He still managed to put up impressive numbers, but was still overlooked by major D1 schools. So instead of giving up, he took an offer from the first school that wanted him. But they didn't want him to play quarterback. They wanted him to play wide receiver. And he could have given up there, but instead, he just put up prominent numbers at the wide receiver position. And even with his numbers and accolades, he still went undrafted. But he didn't let this get him down. He continued to fight his way onto a team for a couple of years to finally earning significant playing time at the age of 26. David Sills V's will to play is definitely there, and his potential has been shown, but only time will tell. Here is the way they made it. David Sills V.